Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another dispatch. So I'm going to continue to read from the book and maybe one or two, maybe this week, maybe one more after this. We'll see. But I'm just jumping around. There's another one, a section here, chapter 6 from the third section that I'd like to start reading here and see where it goes, how far we get through. Okay. Chapter 6, From Innovation to Presence. In the following section, I will attempt to provide a larger cultural and historical framework within which to understand the importance of painting today. I'm not a historian or cultural scholar and make no claim of any expertise in these fields. I am simply a painter who has done some reading and thought about things as I've continued to paint throughout the years and worked to maintain a meaningful engagement. The need for a purposeful practice has led me to take a hard look at the larger context for painting today, how that context has changed from the past, and the implications for what may be arriving in the not too distant future. In an opening section of this book describing the painting journey, and again in the previous section on essential nature, I discussed the importance of presence in painting and how this aspect of presence gives painting power. I explain how the imbuing of presence into a painting is dependent on the intensity of the engagement of the maker. In order to sustain the heat of engagement, the painter must have a sense that their painting matters. The sense of inner necessity brings with it an inner heat. Whoop, I skipped something. The need to sense that the image, the making, the resolution all matter. The sense of inner necessity brings with it an inner heat that transforms the material and imbues it with presence. In the modern era, we understand this engagement as one of individual expression and often individual innovation. The painter is in pursuit of their own unique personal vision. But this was not always the form of deep engagement. Before the modern era, painters were not, generally speaking, in search of their own unique personal expression. For most of humanity's existence, the creative project of handmade, two-dimensional image making was driven and contextualized in very different terms. Image making was driven by the shared myths and spiritual needs of the community. Individuals made paintings, but their motivation was derived from shared stories, stories which carried shared meaning. The kind of deep engagement that would give rise to presence in an image was sourced from a communal story or myth. Religious stories and narratives, stories of plenty and stories of poverty, origin stories, creation stories, stories of justice and injustice, stories of love, stories of loss. From all over the world, fed and nourished and gave rise to these images. The sense of reality and import that these stories carried brought necessity to the making of these images. The images mattered. They gave access to the life and meaning that the story brought to the community. The maker of an image describing a scene from the life of Jesus or the Buddha needed to engage deeply, to be present, to make and mark with attention and skill, and with heart, mind, and spirit. This was not a casual activity, nor was it one of individual self-definition. With the advent of the modern era, the certainty of communal shared story and meaning began to shift. With growing secularization, society no longer had a secure attachment to a shared religious story. A painter could no longer source the empowerment of meaning from previously shared myths. What drove the inner heat, which could imbue the painting with presence, now had to be found elsewhere. So began the modern search for individual vision, individual meaning, and purpose. The modern painter needed to cultivate their own unique and personal necessity in order to provide the painting with presence. This framework of individual vision and expression brought great freedom. The wondrous creative adventure of modernity. It also brought an enormous burden. Through the lens of modernity, in order for artwork to be seen as important and meaningful, paintings needed to be seen as original and stemming from a unique vision. Although the painter, in order to be considered a noteworthy artist, needed to be educated within the tradition of Western painting, they also needed to present a unique contribution to the lineage of painting, and this contribution was determined formally. That is, the particular way in which the painting was made and constructed. Through these formal terms, we would then come to understand the individual painter's vision and motivation. The great rubric for determining worth and value during the modern era was innovation. Stylistic innovation, how the formal terms of making changed over time, became the lens for understanding art history. Particular painters who introduced formal inventions that led to stylistic innovation became milestones in the chronology and progression of art history, as developed and understood during the modern era. What became of paramount importance was the narrative of how art, quote unquote art, developed and progressed and led the larger culture into the modern era. I use the term art in quotation marks as a way of referring to a cultural category, a conceptual lens that has a beginning and an end, as opposed to the actual objects that humanity has made throughout time. This way of framing and analyzing visual art through stylistic progression continued into the 1990s. During the 1990s, this way of understanding and assessing meaning began to break down. Two cultural thinkers, Arthur Danto and Hans Belting, an art critic and an art historian respectively, arrived independently at a similar conclusion, that the story of art history, as we had come to know it, was ending. The narrative of an overarching art historical progression was no longer tenable. There was simply too much heterogeneity and diversity in global creative making, which claimed a place under the rubric of art. A privileged linear development as a model for understanding importance and meaning in the art world became suspect, to say the least. This opened up the possibility for a great variety of diverse histories, a wide range of various modernities from different parts of the world, each tracing their own course of innovation and meaning. As things stand today, visual art is being made in a context of a great plethora of possibility, as each aesthetic maker works to determine their own vision and give it expression in their own unique way and add their own particular innovation to the ongoing global cultural weave of art. Art making can be understood as being made today in a great perplexing mix of modern, postmodern, contemporary, and even pre-modern contexts. Innovation has also been a cornerstone value in a different endeavor, that of industrialization and the development of a capitalist economy. Innovation has led to remarkable inventions and technologies that have vastly improved the material quality of our lives and our standard of living. It has also become a value and end in itself, in which new and improved is assumed to lead to a more satisfying life. Innovation has become a critical tool in the development and amassing of capital. This aspect of innovation during the modern era and continuing through until today is inextricable from the use of innovation in the art world. Our understanding of the importance of innovation in art is bound up with our understanding of innovation in our broader culture and market economy. In the context of our secular and materialistic culture driven by market values, we have lost sight of the deeper, more essential drive within innovation. Through the lens of modernity, and the myth of progress, innovation and originality in art have become ends in themselves. It is what we hope will differentiate us from other artists. It will help us stand out, facilitate significant gallery representation, and perhaps even a museum show. We strive to be unique, find our style and our market niche. But, of course, this is all backwards, and we know it. Yet, the situation is confusing because clearly we can see from art history books, exhibition reviews, and artist monographs, innovation and originality is important, and it is, in truth, important, but not in the way we have come to think. We believe innovation is important in art the way it is important in science. In science, discoveries, inventions, and innovations build on each other. A body of knowledge amasses and deepens, and technological possibilities become available. Art is not like that. Although it is true that over the centuries, new formal inventions such as linear perspective, atmospheric perspective, spatial usage of warm and cool tonality, all have contributed to new ways of portraying space on a flat surface. And although technological inventions have likewise vastly increased the possibilities for image making, inventions such as the camera obscura, oil paint, and portable paint tubes, to name just a few, the essential power of art is not progressive. The essential power of art does not change and has not changed ever. The essential power of art is its ability, through form and perception, to bring us fully into the present moment and discover our true nature as essential, self-aware being. This essential meaning of art, this core truth of the power of handmade two-dimensional image making has not changed in tens of thousands of years. It has not changed and it will not change because it does not exist in time. It comes from and returns us to that which is before time and that which is after time. This is what Cezanne referred to by the word eternity. I do not mean this in an esoteric or mystical sense. It is simply the now, the present moment. It is now. Now does not change. I am not referring to the content that we experience within now, but the felt experience of this present moment itself. The felt experience of now does not change. Now, this present moment, does not occur in time. Time, or the appearance of time, passes through now. The power of art, the power of painting, lies in its ability to awaken us to the moment of now, of ever-present being. How a maker arrives, how a maker aligns themselves inwardly, how a maker prepares themselves, this is all key and brings us to the aforementioned aspects of innovation and originality, but only insofar as they serve the honest, deeper necessity of the maker's engagement. In order for the form to carry presence and act as a doorway into the present moment, the maker needs to bring their life force deeply into their making. The maker must be engaged deeply in the present moment in order to somehow imbue the energy of now into the form, the object, the image, the situation. Everyone's particular constellation of body-mind, temperament, inclinations, history are different. Every maker will have a different set of needs, a different set of criteria within which to catalyze their life force in the art, in the act, in the act of making. And some people will find the available and known means of making insufficient to give expression to the fullness within them. Then, out of necessity, they will innovate in order to bring the form to fullness and wholeness. In order to infuse the form with presence, the maker ends up innovating. And this is a gift. It refreshes and enlivens. It leads us again through unexpected and previously unknown means back to presence. Innovation is not the true sign of power and felt meaning. Presence is. Culturally, we have known for some time, more or less since the 1990s, that the myth of progress is empty. We have known for some time that the belief in an avant-garde no longer makes any sense. But the confused and knotted relationship of art and commerce has kept in place the value of innovation as a salient cultural value and sign of worth. The empty term we now use is cutting edge. It goes on, but maybe I'll stop. I'll stop there. All right. Well, there you go. Something to mull over. I hope you're all well, making stuff. I'm gonna go do something. Maybe I'll go draw. I think I'll go draw. Okay, take care, everyone. Be well. Thanks.